real quick, I got a special announcement for you guys. Right now, we're running a special promotion over on poodlecfb.com. If you use code WINTER with a capital W, you will receive 40% off the annual deal, which basically locks you in from now and the majority of CFB 26. It's one of the fastest growing communities, so you definitely want to get in now so you'll be locked in for next year. And if you want to stick to the monthly plan, we're running 20% off on the monthly if you use code WINTER2025 with a capital W. So make sure to check it out. The codes and links will be down below in the description and in the comments. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Poodle back with another CFB 25 video, and in today's video I'm going to go over the biggest mistakes that you're currently doing to ruin your dynasty. Before we get into the video though, if you guys haven't already, check out poodlecfb.com. Guys, for every mistake you are making in your dynasty, not only does this chat have a solution, not only do they find more mistakes than you probably even think you're making, we find better than solutions. We make them into advantages. Make sure you head on over to poodlecfb.com. Like I keep saying, the deal will keep going on as long as you guys keep hitting the quotas, and we are. If you use code WINTER, capital W, you do get $40 off the annual plan, and if you use code WINTER2025, you get 20% off the monthly. The best part, like I keep saying, and sorry for sounding like a broken record, is that it is a recurring benefit. So if you do sign up now, you do lock in this price for now and the remainder of CFB 26, so it's kind of a no-brainer. You wait till then, you might miss out on the discount, so check out now. Make sure you get in there. You're not going to want to miss it. That first week of CFB 26, when everyone's spending months figuring out the game, we're going to have everything cracked, unlocked, with some of the best minds in the community, so don't miss out. Make sure you use the code. Let's get into it. So the first one is actually based on the video I did just make the other day, and that's going to be something that to me is very important, and I feel like we don't talk about enough, and that's going to be understanding your my school grades and specifically your championship contender. Over here on the top, the Elliott's blue chip ratio quite literally is a overall based on your 4 and 5 stars on your roster relative to the rest. So if you have 85 players in your roster, none of them are above 3 stars, you're going to have a 0% value. If 15 of them are, you're going to have about a 20% value. If 80 of your 85 are a 4 or 5 star, you're going to have a 90+% value, right? Which means you're going to have an easy A+ and championship contender. All you got to do, and it's very simple, is stop recruiting below 3 stars if you are a program above a 2 or 3 star, because you can easily sneak some 4 stars in there by getting unrecruited 4 stars. And more importantly, when you get to the offseason, don't just send out guys you don't like 4-star juniors or 4-star senior players that aren't that great in overall. Take a look at your team and start sending out 1, 2, 3-star players, because as you kick them out, by ratio, the weight of your team is going up because you're kicking out 3 stars while adding 4 stars. So it's like a double whammy. So make sure you are being very selective, that you're not kicking out 4 stars and keeping your new 3 stars. Just be very selective when doing it. Recruit the right way, because this gives you an easy one. Championship contender A is a big deal breaker. Before I had this up to an A, I basically couldn't recruit any of the 5 or 4 stars. A few other things played into it. And then of course, when I had to pitch them, not having a good pitch hurt me a lot as well. So make sure you do get that up. That is very important. The next one's the good old coach build. I have a few things for you guys here. It's kind of a lucky one here. I'm going to go through like 3 things in one for you. The first thing is going to be going over to your coach. First and foremost, the biggest mistake you're making is not starting a custom coach. I can't stress that enough. I have a level 18 coach, and I love him more than I had when I had Brian Kelly in LSU. He's fully maxed basically on everything I want for recruiter already. Fully maxed. I'm going to unlock elite recruiter, and I'm only level 18. I'm basically fully maxed here. I'm basically fully maxed almost here, right? Almost there. And I'm only level 18. That means I still have more than half ways to go, which means I can still get my architect, and I can even sneak some program builder in if I want that. It's so important. I'm going to be performing like a level 50 coach already, because some of the level 50 coaches don't even have this setup. And that is so important to me. Of course, your coordinators not following the ideal coach build. Our ideal coach build is out in the channel. We posted about a month ago. It's called the most overpowered coach. If you're not following that build or something close to it or a variation of it, you are making a huge mistake in this game, and you're going to fall behind. It gives you the best chance of building up your floor. It increases your ceiling, and it gives you even more bonuses within it to have just the best packages. We eliminated all the BS packages, the ones that don't really work, the ones that we've data tested over on poodlecfb.com. So make sure you are not wasting your coach build. And lastly is not understanding the order to upgrade. People always ask me like, oh, I start with this thing or I start with tactician. It's simple. You start with recruiter, then work your way to motivator. Why? So elite recruiter takes 2 seasons. So what you do is the first season, you get this maxed out. Then as you head into your second, you get this maxed out. And why is that? Because when you're starting, especially with a bad team, right? If you're a 5-star, it might slightly change it. But if you're a bad team, a lot of the time you're bringing in all these new players, and a lot of the other guys in your team kind of suck already, besides your seniors. So upgrading motivator first and giving you off-season bonuses doesn't do much because you're upgrading bad players. I'd much rather spend the first year getting in a position to bring in my new players. Then once my new players are here, I can upgrade motivator so that the second season they can get boosted. And then by that 3rd season, hopefully I have elite recruiter. And if not, I'm close to it. If I do, I come back to elite recruiter, and if not, then I go to tactician architect style and start getting that build up, and then you can just start saving up points when you unlock everything. But you want to go in that order first. Some people just will start with like the weirdest things, like I'm gonna upgrade this one, then come back to recruit, get your recruiter maxed out right off rip, understand the order, and again, for your own specific needs, just sit there before you spend a single point. I had 120 points saved up. Sit there, think it through, process your points and the order for what makes sense. If you're Alabama and you have a lot of good freshmen on the roster that come built into the team and you need a boost, you know what? I have elite recruit coordinators. I'm going to spend the first one on motivator because I want to build up those freshmen, and then I'll come back to recruiter after because I don't necessarily need it at Alabama right away, or vice versa. Okay, you know what? I'm Syracuse and I have nobody on this roster, or I'm, San Diego State. I'm going to start with recruit because I have to get my new foundation in, and I'll build those guys up after. Just understand where you're going, because doing that in the wrong order can quite literally set you back a season or so. If I did motivator first and not recruiter, I wouldn't have been able to recruit well first season. I would have not been ready yet second season, and motivator would have been really good, but I would have been upgrading bums that I'm going to get rid of anyways. So make sure you understand that. The next is going to be developing an eye. A lot of you, I feel like, or a lot of you in general, and I feel like this might be a misunderstood concept, is you need to have an eye for recruiting. A lot of people send me DMs like, hey, who's going to win this? And to me, it seems pretty simple at this point because I look at this every day. But you got to start understanding the concept of if you're going to win a recruit. I'm going to go through with my thoughts right here. Right off rip, I think I'm winning this recruit. Why? Because they're all pretty close. I'm only a slight tick behind Penn State. But I have 75 hours, I have elite recruiter coordinators, and I have a maxed out recruit coach besides my elite recruiter on that one, but I have elite recruiter coordinators for this position. I know that Penn State doesn't start, I'm pretty sure, with 2 elite recruiters, and that's what's good about the spreadsheet. When I'm going against teams, especially in the first few years, I go check out, because we have all the coordinators and coaches and their packages listed out. I'm going to go on my spreadsheet, check out Penn State, and say, okay, they have a master motivator and a scheme guru. Cool, I know they don't have elite recruiter yet, and I know I'm good to go on that front. I'm pretty confident I could win this one. I'm only going against 3 users here, or 2 technically. I don't think Vanderbilt has a chance. Two users here, and I think I have the best chance of winning this. Going on to this guy, same concept. I think I have a pretty solid chance of winning this because I'm pretty sure my recruiter is better than everyone except for Alabama. And that's where it's like, okay, this could be tight. There's 5 users. I'm the smallest program. That's where I'm like, okay, well, I do think I have a good chance of points getting. I know Alabama has elite recruiter. That could be tough. I know Notre Dame has elite recruiter, although they're CPU. So this one might be not worth my points. Left tackle, another one where I feel like I have a good chance of getting up there. And I think there's a decent chance because none of the guys up there have elite recruiter across the board. But I am 9. I'm going against elite programs. And you just do this throughout, right? So like right here, if I filter by interest, these are all guys that I'm like, I have a good chance of. And then there's just some guys that you'll see and you'll look and you'll be like, okay, I'm not on the board here, but I'm only going against Penn State, but I'm not on the board. I'm only a 4-star program. I'm not even going to fight this battle, and so on and so forth. You need to start understanding, and this gets more intuitive when you get into the recruiting battle. So for instance, we might be in week 2 and Penn State's still winning, but I see that I'm incrementally gaining on him. That means that I have better coaching packages and I'm going to outgain him. Then it comes down to, okay, can I get my visit in before him? Is he doing a visit? When can he hard sell? Who's hard selling first? That's where all those other things come in, but you got to start developing an eye for just looking at it and understanding, like, I've gotten really good at about 80 to 90% success rate of picking my preseason recruits. I win about 80 to 90% of the guys I pick because I know exactly which ones I have a high chance of winning, and that's where I basically stay. Occasionally, if I can screw around, when you're like a 5-star program, you can be like, I want that guy, he's generational. If I lose him, I lose him. When you're a low program, you don't have that luxury. You need elite recruiter unlocked, and you need a good floor in your team. So you go for all the top guys. You don't need necessarily to go all in on the best guys, if that makes sense. Next is going to be scouting tactics. So you guys need to understand scouting tactics are very dependent on what your team is. If you're a team that's a 3-star below, don't scout. Don't scout high tier players. I see people as a 3-star program wasting all their scouting points on 5 stars and 4 stars. Don't. It's very simple. If you're a 3-star below team, if a 5-star wants to come to your team, you recruit them. If a 4-star goes unrecruited, you just recruit them. You're not being selective. Now, if you're a 5 and 4-star program, which is a little bit different, you need to be selective because with 4 stars or 5 stars, if you're a 95 overall LSU squad, right? And this is where I was getting to this point, bringing in a 4-star that's a bust hurts your team because he's going to be like impact or normal dev and he's not going to have good caps. He's going to hurt your team as a whole because you're trying to get your overall. A 4-star normal, not great. A green gem or a, whatever you guys want to call it. I know you guys complain about what I called them, but a green gem 4-star is going to potentially have good dev. He's worth a spot in your team, and then mainly 5 stars. So you want to be scouting to make sure you're not bringing in a red bust, right? Red X bust, whatever you want to call them. You want to make sure that you're not bringing those in across the board, any bust. And then when you do bring in a guy that's not a gem, a green gem, you do want to make sure that their stats are requisite. Look at them. Do they look like busts? Sometimes when you're recruiting a left tackle, you'll see a 5-star left tackle. Oh, it looks pretty solid. but his stats are in the 70s and low 80s. You're like, wait, that's going to be a really low overall. He's probably a bum. Then you see a guy with all mid 80s. You're like, that's a stud. You got to be more selective as a 4 and 5 star. So that's where scouting becomes more important, because you basically have all these riches on your team. You're trying to get above that. When you're a 1 to 3 star team, you're not doing any of that. So that's when you want to scout. As a 1 to 3 star team, you want to scout 1 to 3 star players, right? For me, as a 1 to 3 star team, I'm scouting 3 stars, because I'm basically taking in any 4 or 5 stars. But 3 stars, I'm going to be selective about bringing in green gems and guys with high potential or high speed or something along those lines. As a 4 or 5 star, I'm scouting heavily on the 5 and 4 stars. If I do bring in 3s, I'm not wasting scouting points in them. I'm coming back to them midseason, and I'll bring in ones for depth that I absolutely need, like I'm short at kicker or something, or I'm short at wide receiver and I just need backup. So it's kind of the reverse. You flip it. But you have to understand your situation and where you're at as a team when doing it. The last one's not going to be understanding when to use position changes. A lot of people do this. Now, I'm not talking about the super cheesy ones. We won't even get into that today. So, like I said, besides the cheesy ones, just in general, there's a lot of position changes that just make sense. So, for instance, you have no tight ends on the roster. You have a physical wide receiver who's only like 88 to 91 speed. You're not going to play him at wide receiver, but he has pretty good size. He's pretty big. You can move him over to tight end. It's a great vertical threat tight end. He's a physical. He's a big body receiver. Another one of my favorite ones is going to be on the D-line. A lot of times you'll have an end. Again, I don't have it on this roster, of course, because it's not a great roster. You'll have a run-stopping end. He's 77 speed. He's kind of built like an Aaron Donald, or kind of like a Jeffrey Simmons on the Titans. He's built like him, and you look at him and you're like, okay, he's not that fast. He's a good build. He can run stop. I don't think I want him on my edge, though. I'm just going to let him be backup. No, you switch him over to DT run stopper, they're going to blow up an overall and get all the elite run stopping abilities. They're going to go from being a guy you wouldn't start on edge to being a guy that absolutely would just shed every run in the middle as like a nose tackle. And that's why it's so important to take a look at these. Or a cornerback. Let's say you have a cornerback that's like 88 speed. He's really good zone, but he's just really slow to play corner and man or any of that stuff. Move him to strong safety, move him to free safety. A great position for an 88 speed guy who typically wouldn't start in your team, but in a roster where you're weak at safety, that is a great guy to move over, and he'll unlock abilities if he's like a high zone but low speed guy. And so on and so forth. You're going to see this across the board. There's so many guys. A scrambler or an athlete quarterback that has great spin, great juke, great change of direction, can't throw. Make him running back, especially if you're starting a field general and you care about the accuracy. Make sure that you look at your roster every year and see if there's a guy that's just, it's kind of like being a coach in real life. That guy's played left tackle his whole life, but he's really athletic and he has hands. Maybe he could play tight end. You know, he could mix it up. So understand in general, or vice versa, right? Great blocker, but can't really catch. Maybe move him to the line. Just go across your roster and see, and especially go through their stats and be like, okay, wait, this guy's a really good catch, but he's a quarterback. Come to find out, he's a great wide receiver. And just look through and see where guys can fit, especially when you're not utilizing them, when they're just backups, or like they're both the juniors, so one guy's always going to be the starter, the other one's never going to get a spot to play. Go through your roster and do that. I love doing it across the trenches. Trenches for me are the in linebackers. Front seven, trenches. That's where I like to do a lot of my position changes because they're very simple to go across. They don't really break the player, and you get a lot of abilities out of it. And also, re-rolling your abilities. Make sure you're doing that. There's no reason to be hurting your team. If you have an 87 overall player that's upgrading but has no abilities, he's going to be a little capped because he has to upgrade his abilities eventually. If you have an 87 overall player, you re-roll him, he gets all his abilities, he's going to skyrocket into the 90s in like a season because he has no abilities to buy. So, make sure you're doing that, guys. That's about it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Check out poodlecfb.com. You won't want to miss it. Code WINTER, $40 off the annual. Code WINTER2025, 20% off the monthly. Make sure to check it out. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out. Peace.